ESPN Plus, I got to shout out the Cleveland boys. Abdullah Mason moves on to 7-0, 6 KOs. This kid's young, 18 years old. You got to be careful with a young man. Elite, special, fast, sharp, very intuitive in the ring. Counterpuncher. He's got power at 135. I think he's fighting at. It may even go down to 130 for a belt. Who knows? But be careful with an 18-year-old because eventually, if you move him too fast, he'll be 20 years old going up against grown men, and especially at 135. I mean, that power is real at 135. If he moves down to 130, I think he's a little safer as it pertains to the power, and I think that he outmatches guys much better at 130. But I think at 135, even though he's very skillful, very sharp, counterpuncher, I mean, really, really good. But I think especially if you move him too fast before he's 20, I mean, you're looking at a world championship title, or you're looking at contending to get into the mix of a world championship title. And you're talking about a guy who's 28, 30 years old, so just don't want him to have that deficit too soon. And if you don't believe me, go and take a look at the record books. Guys who get early shots when they're young, sometimes they are not who they could be or should be at 25, 28 years old. We had a conversation earlier. We were talking on I was on another podcast, and we were talking about Teofimo Lopez, and I talked about you never know when it's too soon to get some opportunities. And I think that Tio is a classic case of he got a lot too soon, and he wasn't quite mature enough to handle everything that came at him. And we started talking about, or at least I started talking about, I said, man, imagine this kid. I mean, he's 22, 23 years old with a belt, however old he was at that point in time. And, he's on top of the world. And then he loses it the very next fight. I said, you got professional reporters who have been in this thing for 20, 30 years shooting questions at him that he's never thought of for himself. And now not only is he having to answer questions that he's never thought of, now these questions are sitting in his heart, sitting in his mind, because now he's in a space that he never expected to be in, and it's just too much too soon. And sometimes you can't grow beyond it, So that's just one example. And then, I kind of went into Zab. And Zab is a classic case of someone getting a lot too soon and not being able to handle it, So the history is there. The point of all that is when you're looking at Abdullah Mason, 18 years old, yes, he is A+, and nothing less. But you want him to be A+ from the beginning to the end of his career, and you don't want him to get into anything any sooner than he needs to be. And so you got to protect that 18-year-old young man. It is exactly what he is, but he is dynamite. To this point, Emiliano Vargas, one of the Vargas brothers, advanced to 4-0, 3 KOs. Very fast, very offensive, which I really like. Y'all already know that. And he's sharp, can dig head and body, and he got his fighter out of there in I think just 2 or 3 rounds. Dante Benjamin got a shot at another Cleveland guy, 6-0, 4 KOs. His power is real. I wrote it on my notes. Like when I seen him drop his opponent in the first round, I was like, yo, that is some real power. He's teetering right now in terms of where his weight is going to be. And I like to see him at 189. I think that's where he's going to campaign at. I think right now he's too small for heavyweight, but I think eventually he will be a heavyweight. He's a big kid as well. I didn't write down his age, but I know he's young. That was a funny second round knockout. If you guys haven't seen it yet, you can check it out on the ESPN Plus app. Got to shout out my boy Tiger Delonte Johnson. He moved on to 8-0, 5 KOs. And he had to weather a storm early, man. And not a big storm, but he got caught in the first round with an overhand right. And they said he's hurt. He was buzzed, but he weathered that storm and, controlled the fight and went on to a unanimous decision win for him. So 8 rounds for him now, 8-0, stepping up the competition. And, you want to have situations like that early on in your career, 8-0, and don't look at it as, oh, he's exposed. No, he had a moment, and he's going to learn from that moment, and he should be stronger from that moment. So that's what the boxing game is about, man. Y'all see us grow right before your eyes. And when y'all see us get hurt, y'all see us 20-0, whatever it is, y'all got to see it all, So don't look past him and don't think that he, he's nothing because he got hurt in that first round just over the weekend. It's a moment and it happens, But he will be better from it. Robeisy, Isaac Dogboe was the main event. Let me see what you guys had to say about me. He said, no, Zab was just not strong enough. Zab was the man. Zab was a bad boy. And Abdullah Mason versus Kid Austin Molly Mao. I do not want to see that too soon for both guys, man. And I know last weekend we got Jesus Ramos and Joey Spencer. Those guys are further along than Kid Austin and Abdullah Mason. But I just think that the timing needs to be right. And I think right now, for those two young kids, the timing just is not right for them right now. EJ, Shawn, what you think about Haney versus Loma? Hopefully we can touch on that before the end of this show. If not, we'll definitely touch on that before the fight happens. I know that I think they're getting it in June. Why are you pushing buttons? Don't push it. Well, you knew I was gonna mess up, so you just. So we'll touch on that in some time, but I'll let that one go for now. Still remember when you won first championship belt, Shawn, like it was yesterday. Good stuff, 1-on-1. I appreciate that, sir. Trella versus Zoo postponed again. What's really going on? OZ Boxing 22. Yeah, that's the question. What's really going on? Dang. I have no clue. Isaac Dogboe and Robeisy Ramirez. Competitive fight, good fight. And shout out to Barry Hunter. I know I'm really high on a lot of coaches out there. I don't, and obviously Barry was in my corner, but I don't think that is biased of me and how I admire Barry. I mean, he's a really good coach. You guys listened to him during that fight against Robeisy, and he was trying to pull a lot out of Isaac. I'm not sure if Isaac had enough. And he told him, he said, hey, get out your own head, and stick with us. We got this, trust us. He's trying to pull a lot out of Isaac. And I don't know if Isaac had it the other night, Robeisy, he did the business. He did what he always does. He's sharp, controls the range and the distance. A very definitive boxer. And what I mean by that is he just knows what he wants to do. And I have not seen anybody disrupt Robeisy, obviously outside of his debut that he lost. But outside of that, man, I haven't seen anyone be able to disrupt what Robeisy wants to do through the course of an entire fight. And that includes Isaac. And we know Isaac to be a very aggressive fighter, not quite as aggressive as we're used to seeing the other night. And I'm not sure if he answered any questions pertaining to that, but definitely a really good special on both guys before the fight happened too. So try to look at their stories. Both Isaac Dogboe and Robeisy Ramirez, they both have amazing stories. Obviously, you have to have an amazing story when you defect from Cuba and you come over here and you live the dream that you always wanted to live. So shout out and salute to Robeisy on handling the business just this past weekend.